Welcome back. Every other Saturday, local artists and businesses set up at the Maria Sola Green Space in Mont Haven between Lincoln Avenue and 134th Street for a South Bronx Swap Meet. Joining us now to share more is DJ Charlie Hustle of South Bronx Swap Meet. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Sonyi. It's great to meet you.
Of course. Wonderful meeting you as well. So let's get right into it. For those who are not familiar, can you tell us a little bit about the South Bronx Swap Meet? What is it? What is a swap meet? And for those who don't know, and where and when does it take place?
Absolutely. So I actually got the term swap meet in Los Angeles. I DJ and I'm the tour DJ for Bronx rap artist named Kemba. And so every time we visited Los Angeles, everywhere we go, I actually go thrifting, but every time we go to Los Angeles, I go to these things called swap meets. And basically, it's just another word for a flea market. And there's lots of local vendors and artists, and they sell all different types of items, both new and used. And it's just an awesome community vibe. So I've always wanted to kind of spread some of that up here, uptown in the Bronx and Harlem.
Sounds amazing. And I know Kemba Land. He's dope from the
That's
Bronx.
right. Check him out.
Yes.
Yep.
Amazing to know that you are the DJ as well. So just to give a little background on, how long you've been DJing and how you got into, developing a swap meet for the Bronx through your music, and also how work has changed for you during the COVID pandemic.
So I got to try to condense everything as much as I can. I've been DJing my whole life pretty much. I grew up in a bar and I had access to records and turntables as a teenager and stuff. And I was DJing in the bar from an early age, particularly with the swap meet. It's something that came about over the last 2 years, I would say. I've been struggling with a lot of grief. My little sister, Martha, passed away on October 13th, 2 years ago.
My condolences.
It's been really tough, and one of the things that has been comforting to me has been going thrifting again. So when we were little, my mom used to take us thrifting, and she used to say, we can go to the department store and get one pair of pants and one shirt, or we can go to the thrift store and you can get a whole bag, a whole garbage bag. So it's always been nice for our family, and since my sister passed, it's been nice for me to do that again with my sisters and my mom. And this time around, trying to figure out how I can make a business out of it, because it's something that I love to do. And it's also an amazing thing to do for the environment and the community, because a lot of this stuff would end up in landfills, polluting the world and stuff. So I just generally think thrifting is something more people in the world should be doing for the environment. And so another thing that started in the last year is I started helping a lady in the Bronx clean out her house. It's a wonderful person named Peggy, and shout out to her. And as part of our cleaning, we've been sorting, and we realized a lot of the stuff still has value in our house, that we don't just want to throw it out. Once COVID hit, we had to stop work, but we had amassed so much stuff between her and me of taking some of the stuff from her that we were like, what are we going to do with all this stuff? So over the summer, I came up with this idea for the South Bronx Swap Meet as a way to help me and Peggy get rid of some of our stuff, and also encourage other people to take a look at their clutter and their hoarding in their house, and figure out if somebody else could get a better use out of some of these items.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing, and my condolences to you and your family, Charlie, on the loss of your sister. It's incredible to hear that there's some nostalgic and personal, emotional purpose to the swap meet that happens here in the South Bronx as well. So thank you so much for sharing. Just to inform our viewers, what types of items are sold at the South Bronx Swap Meet? What can people find there?
We have a very eclectic group of vendors and a wide variety of stuff. So Peggy has vintage home goods and collectibles and antiques. We have Freddie with action figures and toys, vintage toys. We have Dandy in the Bronx that has menswear, suit and ties. Isabella LaRue and Tu Mama Vintage, they both have women's clothing, bags, jewelry. We have a lemonade stand that's run by a 13-year-old writer named Cadence. We have food, we have grandmas, we have uncles and aunts come by, whole families. And so it's really any and everything. And we're encouraging anybody that has anything to sell or to offer, maybe not even to sell, if it's just ideas or just some cool information to share, to come on and set up a table. And if it's not with us, maybe they can do it on their block or other areas of New York City. I think in general, it should happen everywhere. And I was actually inspired by seeing a lot of street vendors popping up around Mott Haven to then start this flea market.
We also have music by DJ Charlie D. Charlie Hustle, my bad.
That's right. That's right. Yep, I play music. I have a little boombox, as you can see right behind me. I bring that out, and I've been playing some records. I also sell records. So it's fun. And the places I went to in Los Angeles, they always had bands and music. And so the idea would be, as things get a little bit safer with COVID, we want to start having music and performances, maybe an open mic. There's lots of ideas. Actually, there's a lot across the street. As we grow, I want to try to use that lot, and the DOT, I've made a request with them to use it, and it'd be a lot more space, so it'd feel a little bit safer too.
Yeah. Best of luck with that. That would be amazing. Speaking of COVID-19, you know, how are vendors and buyers stationed safely during the pandemic? I know that it's outdoors, so that allows for, you know, safe distancing as well. But just for those who may be a little worried about going out during these times.
Absolutely. It's been a big concern for me. My fiance has asthma, so we've been pretty much locked down since March, working from home and everything, and staying socially distanced and everything like that, wearing a mask everywhere we go. So all of our vendors are required to wear masks and have hand sanitizer. We also encourage all of the shoppers to wear a mask, and we have masks provided if you don't have one. And then each space I've made 10 by 6 feet with 6 feet in between. So there's some social distance in between all of the vendors. So we're doing the best we can to try to keep people safe. And if we end up growing and it gets too big where there's a big crowd forming, that's where we want to then transition to a bigger space. But for right now, I've had as many as 13 vendors, and we've had, you know, we catch a lot of people walking by and people that are going into the garden. So it hasn't been a huge crowd yet. So that's kind of actively, we're not trying to make it into a huge crowd yet. So people are safe. So it's definitely something that we have to always be mindful of, and we don't want anyone to get sick or any of our vendors to get sick. So I get COVID tested every couple of weeks just in case. And yeah, I'm encouraging all of my vendors and everyone that comes by to just be diligent as possible to be safe, you know.
Gotcha. Thank you, Charlie, for sharing. Let's talk a little bit about your partnership also with the Maria Sola Garden that, you know, you stationed in front of. How did you develop that partnership in order to have the swap meet there in that location?
So I think community gardens are very, very important in New York City, in the Bronx specifically. I've been supporting a park called Brook Park, and it's a community garden on 141st Street in Brook. They're awesome people there, and I've been supporting them for 10 years. So once the Maria Sola garden started to develop over the last few years, I actually live closer to the Maria Sola. And some of my friends are members of the garden, and I reached out to my friend Michael Johnson, who ended up giving us permission and inviting us to vend on the sidewalk.
Got you. All right, Danny over at Brook Park Gardens. I know him.
Yep.
He's one of the elders that runs it.
Danny Cervoni, yep,
Yeah.
and Henry and all the guys there. We love them very much, and we've been inspired by their park to do some of the things we've been doing at Maria Sola.
That is beautiful. So before we go, DJ Charlie Hustle, can you just tell us how people can sign up to vend at the South Bronx Swap Meet if they are interested, and if there are any restrictions, like can they sell anything at the swap meet?
You can sell anything as long as within legal parameters. You can sign up by emailing me at southbronxswapmeet@gmail. Include your name and the type of items that you have to sell. And I'm formulating a vendors list. And when there's space, I can fit you in. But even if there isn't space, because sometimes the list gets full, still email me and I can keep you on that vendors list so that when we transfer into a bigger space, I'll have this whole network of vendors already set. So anybody that's interested in selling and being an entrepreneur and figuring out ways to be self-sustainable. I know a lot of artists like myself have been out of work. So it's just a great way for people to get a little extra income, including myself. And it's been almost a godsend, and it's been a lot of fun to meet neighbors I haven't met before, and lots of people are coming out, and very excited. So it's a beautiful thing, and I'm so happy to be here to talk with you guys about it.
We're happy to have you. Before we go, one last thing, just invite our viewers to pass by and visit the vendors and show support for local artists and vendors at this time.
Absolutely. South Bronx and the Bronx in general, come check us out at the South Bronx Swap Meet, November 14th and 21st. We've got something for everybody, great prices, and a great family vibe. So come check us out. If you want to be a vendor, come email me at southbronxswapmeet@gmail. And for everything else, check out our IG at South Bronx Swap Meet. Thanks again. Peace.
You heard it here from DJ Charlie Hustle. You can follow at South Bronx Swap Meet for updates on Instagram. You can also support local artists and businesses every other Saturday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. over at between Lincoln Avenue and 134th Street. So you already know, get out there and, get some vintage items over at the South Bronx Swap Meet. We'll
Yep.
be right back.